All right, so welcome everyone to our current student panel. I'm Rory DeFiore. I'm the ISEP's Communications and Event Coordinator, and I'll be your moderator for the panel. Studying abroad is such an exciting experience, and we're so happy that you all are joining this discussion to hear a little bit more from current students abroad. We know studying abroad always comes with lots of questions, and especially so during the uncertain times that we're all in now. So our three panelists are currently on ISEP programs in the UK, Austria, and the US. They've been through this process of navigating arrival in their host country, going through a quarantine period if required, taking a hybrid of online and in-person classes, and making friends and navigating that experience in this new and challenging environment. So we have questions prepared for them, but this is really an opportunity for you to ask anything that comes to mind about to kind of get a feel from them what you can expect next semester. So please use that Q&A box, and we'll either stop and answer them as we go if one is particularly relevant, or we'll be sure to answer them at the end. I wanted to introduce our three lovely panelists joining us. We have Joaquin, who is currently studying at University of Wyoming in the US. We have Pascal, who is studying abroad at University of Chester in the UK, and Ruben, who is studying at University of Graz in Austria. So I know one of the biggest questions on everyone's mind is, depending on where you're studying abroad next semester, you may have heard that you will have to quarantine when you arrive. So I wanted to ask this first question to Pascal and ask him what his experience was like quarantining when he arrived in the UK. So Pascal, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, all right. When I arrived, I had to quarantine for 2 weeks in my room. And so the quarantine was quite good organized from the university. I could like book a package. So I had bed lining, I had food provided, kitchen things. So that was pretty good. And also, I think the most important thing is that you don't get bored. So I could write on my thesis for my bachelor thesis. So that was quite a good thing. So I could use my time quite good. But I mean, if you don't have to write a thesis, you should have an idea what you want to do for 2 weeks. If you just go to your room and think, yeah, all right, I can watch Netflix for 2 weeks, that's going to be boring for some time. You have an idea what you want to do in these 2 weeks, like make some notes beforehand or stuff like that. Yeah.
That's really good advice. I think a lot of us kind of think, we think, oh, that's 2 weeks of watching Netflix, that'll go by quickly, that's a fun way of killing time. But it really, I think we've all had that experience, having been at some point in time stuck at home and quarantining, that kind of wears off after a while. And it's really a much better use of your time to think ahead and really use it to also give yourself, what a relief to have a big chunk of your academic requirements already crossed off in that way. So that's really wonderful way of using the time. So I wanted to ask Joaquin and Ruben a little bit too. So Ruben, can you explain to us a little bit how it's like dealing with COVID, where you are right now, what kind of requirements you've had to adhere to, and all of that?
Yeah, of course. Now,
Thank you.
unfortunately, we have more restrictions because the cases are rising. But two months ago, when I came, I was really surprised because nobody was wearing the mask outside. So it was really different from Spain, where we have to wear it everywhere. It was just obligatory. We had to wear it everywhere. But when I came, we were able to do small gatherings or just hang out with people, even inside the pubs. So it was really surprising for me because it was really different from my home country, which was Spain.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, is that in some cases, the restrictions are actually might be less than what you're currently expecting in your host country, but then that also might be kind of subject to change throughout the semester. So your university will be a really good resource on that and letting you know when those restrictions are changing and kind of adapting to that. But I appreciate you bringing up that point, because in some cases, things may be more or less restrictive depending on where you're going and just as time goes on. Joaquin, can you tell us a little bit more about what it's like at University of Wyoming right now, and how you're adjusting to COVID-related safety restrictions there?
Yes, I got to the University of Wyoming in January. So when I got here, it was not coronavirus yet. So I only had 7 weeks of normalcy. Then came spring break and everything changed. I have to change like from my residence hall to another one. And like in total, because like I stayed here also during the summer and I'm now here for the fall semester, I changed of room like 4 times. But I feel pretty safe. We are being tested for coronavirus twice a week.
Wow.
It takes less than 10 minutes and it's the saliva test. It's very easy to do. And anyone who tests positive has to self-isolate. And so do the people who have had close contact with them.
Wonderful. So it sounds like I know a lot of, depending on the country too, there's questions about like what is testing like? Is it easy? Is it easy to get? And so it's awesome to hear that it's easy there, it's not invasive, it's very quick, and also that they're then able to make sure that everyone is either housing and preventing the spread. And so that University of Wyoming sounds really on top of it. So thank you for sharing that. That's great to hear. The next question I wanted to ask you all about is a little bit about your classes. So I'll start off with Pascal. What are your classes like? I know if in case anyone follows us on Instagram, Pascal also did our Instagram takeover over there a couple weeks ago. He did a great job. We had a lot of fun watching him take us through a day at University of Chester. So then you were taking a hybrid of online and in-person classes. How is that now, Pascal? And how did you adjust to that kind of online in-person format?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, also there's like now a second kind of lockdown. We still have like the face-to-face classes, so that's pretty good. So yeah. It's kind of the same, or it's the same like some weeks ago. So I have some classes I have like online via Microsoft Teams, and some classes I have at the university. And they just have like social distancing and masks. So yeah, I think it's probably similar to like other countries or other schools.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Joaquin and Ruben, have you had a similar experience where you're taking both in person and online? Has it changed at all throughout the semester? Either one of you can start, whoever wants to go first.
In my case, since I came, everything was online, at least at TU Graz, which is my university. And now the thing is the other university that we have in Graz is University of Graz, and they are doing almost everything in person. So it depends a little bit on which university are you attending, and of course, how is the situation with the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My university has a mix of in-person and online classes, but mine are all online. I have one self-paced and 4 with web conferences with like Zoom meetings. I really like the online classes with the Zoom meetings because when we switched to online in the spring semester, it was really fast. So the professors did not have time to prepare and it was not great. But this semester it's really good. And I can say that because I had the in-person experience before and I really like the online experience too.
That's wonderful. And just for everyone listening and kind of wondering, so Joaquin actually has been abroad since January, so he is doing a full academic term in University of Wyoming too. So you've kind of seen, you have a very interesting perspective, having seen things from before the pandemic and then that transition through, and now it's wonderful to see that it feels like the virtual classes are kind of hitting a groove. I think that a lot of professors, it was an adjustment when suddenly things had to move online, but now we're seeing it working very well in more creative formats in these online classes. So I'm wondering, does anyone have like an absolute favorite class that they're taking right now that they want to tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, I have a class that's I quite like, because on one side it's face-to-face, so it's at university, and we have such a lovely tutor, and he's so helpful. Also, like, especially like for me when I'm an exchange student, so I have some things, for example, I write different assignments than the others, so he's very helpful with me. And yeah, it's about exploring events, so how to organize events and stuff.
Oh, so cool. Wow. And I love that you mentioned having a mentor too, because I think that is something that is a wonderful way as a exchange student to also feel connected, feel like you have some special guidance, also like an insider local to kind of guide you and give you advice. Awesome.
Yeah, and maybe I can add, like, here in Chester you have like a PAT, like a personal kind of contact person. So you have like any issues, you always can write them or like phone them. So that's pretty helpful, I would say, with like all kind of issues.
Wonderful. Could Ruben and Joaquin, can you tell us a little bit about like the student support where you are? Do you feel like you have a point person to bounce things off, similar to what Pascal was describing?
Yeah, here I think that it's a European thing. We have the ESN group. It's like an organization of students that can help you with all of your things. I mean, they help you to meet people. They tell you events to do or sports activities. So it's really helpful if you're going to a European city to look for the ESN organization and try to get involved at this organization.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I also have been had a good experience with my university, especially with my ISEP coordinator, Shelly. She has helped me a lot, and the university has like provided me with everything I need: hand sanitizer, face masks, and they even gave $50 to all the students spend at local businesses to help them during these times. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's really a community feel. It's like it's helping the student, but it's also helping stimulate the local economy. So that's really smart. And I'm glad you have such a wonderful ISEP coordinator. That's wonderful to hear. And I will say to anyone listening too that all of our ISEP universities, part of why they're part of our community is because they offer really amazing student support. So there's definitely, we'll make sure that you're connected with student groups on campus, and your ISEP coordinator will be a great resource throughout the semester too as things come up. Okay, well, I guess I'm moving on a little bit. I know a lot of people, I mean, probably the first thing everyone thinks about when they're studying abroad, even in a normal semester, not when COVID is going on, is how am I going to meet friends? What is that going to be like? So I'm wondering how you all navigated this with this kind of added complexity of having to maybe quarantine at times or social distance. I'll start off with Joaquin. Can you tell us what it's been like and if you've gotten involved in activities or how you've gone about that process?
So in the first semester, most of my friends were also international exchange students, and before the pandemic, all of them left, but I stayed because I was here also for the fall semester. But I met a lot of people, and because of that, a lot of locals. And one of the things that I do is go to church. They have mass for students, book study, games, presentations, discussions, and volunteer opportunities. I joined the debate team. I already participated in an online tournament, and I'm going to be in another one in December. And I also joined a fraternity. So even though
Wow.
I'm been spending only this semester with my brothers, membership is a lifelong commitment, and I'm really excited to come back in the future to visit them.
Wow, I absolutely love that. I love that in a weird turn of events, the coronavirus actually maybe made you connect more with locals and have an even more kind of American college experience with joining a fraternity and really connecting with people on campus in that way. So that is really cool and awesome to hear. Pascal and Ruben, can you share a little bit about how you've connected with people and met locals during this time?
Yeah, in my case, the university organized like 3 different events when we came here, which were the Guide City Tour, where we were able to visit the tour with a girl that explained us where were the most iconic places from Graz. And there was like another event which was intercultural awareness session, where we were like in a class with people from other countries and we could meet each other. Really, it was really nice. And the other one was the campus survival tour, where we were explaining how to survive in the campus and the best places to eat or to study. And of course, this is really useful now, especially with the corona, because since the courses are online, we have to look for other ways to meet people, and these kind of events are really helpful to do this.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so you've been able to connect with people online and also through the supports at the university. So that's great to hear. What about for you, Pascal? What has this process of meeting people and making friends been like for you?
Yeah, I have to be honest. Like most of my friends are also like international students because during like right down this semester, it wasn't that easy to meet a lot of new people because like you have like so few face-to-face courses, and it's quite like we were not allowed to meet in big groups and stuff. So there were like no parties. You just could go to bars with like 4 people together. But I was very glad to meet people like I lived together with. So that was very nice, and also with time, different friendships develop. And what's a very good thing I think everywhere is to do like different like fraternities, like Joachim did, or I'm in like in the volleyball group, so I met a lot of people there, and also like people from England, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to say, I feel like you all are getting even more involved than a local student would. And that's so important, you know, as an international student, like really throw yourself into things and join clubs and do activities. So that's really wonderful to hear that you've all managed to do that, even with some kind of added challenges at times. So
Lori, can I hop in with a question
yes,
from one of our students? Okay, so Donatus wanted to ask our current students, do you have any thoughts on living on campus versus off campus during the pandemic? And which do you think is a better choice? I know for many of you, you might only have been given one option, but
yeah, like I couldn't choose. I'm living off campus, but I think it's both sides are good. It depends if I mean, like mostly on campus you also have like the facilities to eat there, so you don't have to cook yourself. So if you don't like cooking, it's probably better to be on campus. But I mean, generally it's I think both options are quite good. So it's hard to say like in one case one thing is better than the other.
If your on campus accommodation is also like university property, probably you will also have the same restrictions. You will also have to wear face mask and everything. So like if you can choose, I think would be better to stay on campus because it's better like for transportation and everything.
I would say that here in Graz, there is no like an on-campus residence. We have like a lot of residents around Graz, but there's not like a proper on-site campus. So I would say that here everything is just in the city, and you can choose the dorm you want to choose.
Wonderful. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you. We have one more actually. So
Awesome.
Laura, well, we're on the topic of housing. Laura asked, do you have a roommate because of the coronavirus, or are you alone in your room? Roommates are a great way to make friends.
Like I have room for myself, but I live together with like 3 different guys in the same house, so that was like an easy way to make friends. But I think I don't have the room for myself just because of coronavirus, so I would have the room for myself anyway. So
I have the room just for myself because of coronavirus. Before coronavirus, I had a roommate for 7 weeks, and now he moved, but I still see him on campus. But even though like no one has roommates in any floor at UW, there is a lot of people living on the same floor, so you can still meet people and hang out with them at the fishbowl or anywhere on campus.
In my case, I live with another international. I mean, I have my own room, but I live in a flat with another guy who is from England, and yeah, it was really nice for me because he introduced me a lot of people here because he has been here for 1 year. So it was really helpful for me to have another international flatmate just to get to know a lot of internationals here.
Great. And we have one more question. This one's for Pascal. In the UK, are there opportunities to travel outside of Chester this semester, or have you just been staying in Chester?
now in November there's a lockdown, so you shouldn't travel if you take it exactly. And I mean, I think you have to oblige rules, but also have like a bit of common sense. So yeah, I leave it at that. But before that, I was traveling to different places. For example, I was at the Lake District, where also the picture was taken from the first slide. It was pretty nice, but I think like when I planned this semester, I had more ideas to go like a different places, for example, to Dublin or London or Edinburgh. But now I don't think it's the best idea to go to cities or big cities. So yeah, I traveled less than I initially thought I will. Yeah.
Great. And Nicholas is asking, how is student life on the campus? I know you talked about this a little bit, but he's asking about how are student associations and virtual class?
Does anyone want to add? I know we kind of hit a little bit on that, but if there's anything you all want to add on virtual and virtual classes and in-person and activities on campus, student association things.
I'm not living on campus, so probably one of those.
I think I can say something. We started the semester with basically everything online, but now we are having a lot of in-person things, like the gym is open, and most things is still online, especially when it's not possible social distancing. But I believe that in the spring semester we will have like more things in person.
Yeah, in the case of Austria, I don't live on campus, but there are like different student associations. I think they are still doing things during the coronavirus. So I think it could be a really useful thing to meet people there too.
Can I add another thing? So they had canceled all the football games for this semester, but they decided to have football games. So we are having 3 games here this semester, and probably in the spring semester we will also have basketball and other things. It was very good being able to see an American football game, and especially because they had canceled, so I was not expecting to see that, and I had the opportunity.
It's a very unique experience being able to see an American football game. Great. We have a question for Joaquin. So York is asking, how are the meals on campus? And can you go to eat at any time, or are you assigned a specific hour?
So you can go get your food anytime, but you have to grab it and take out to eat outside if it's not too cold. Or you can also eat at your room, or you can eat with your friends in a place like outside the dining hall. And if you are sent to quarantine, they provide everything you need. So they provide you food. And even though if you, for example, you did not have like a meal plan that give you permission to get all the food that you need during quarantine, you will receive that. But like with ISEP, I don't have this problem because we have the unlimited plan.
Great. All right, Rory, we'll let you keep going with your questions, and I'll pop in if we get more student questions.
You all have the best questions, so keep them going. These are much better. These are better than mine, so keep them coming for sure. So we'll keep. I'll ask. I know we're getting close on time, so I'll ask kind of I guess a more broad question. So is there anything the three of you wish you knew before studying abroad, or an item or something you wish you had brought with you that to anyone listening going abroad next semester they can learn from? And so anyone, feel free, we can start with anyone. So just feel free to unmute yourself and let us know. Is this maybe I stumped you all with this one.
I can start. The question was, what would I want to know before I got here, right?
Yeah, no, or if there was something you wish you had brought, just anything that you kind of could have benefited from knowing ahead of time.
I think I was quite good informed, like generally, also about the university, and also I live like in a city, so we can get stuff pretty quickly. So there wasn't a big of an issue. But I wrote something down. I have to check my notes. Oh yeah, I have been to the UK beforehand, so I already know a bit about how it is here. Yeah. But also like for me, like the biggest differences were, but this maybe just concerns people from like France or Germany and Switzerland. So the bread here is really not good. So one thing I miss the most probably, or like one of the things I miss the most. And the weather is also not good as well. So yeah, you have to adjust. It could rain every day. But I mean,
good point. Bring an umbrella.
yeah. Just have like be prepared for rain. So, but if I go back to Switzerland, I can deal with rain better. So that's a positive thing. And also, I think like the English kitchen has not the good of like standing, but you will find good restaurants, and it's quite international, so you can find everything. Also, like in Chester, it's not the biggest city, but you find everything. And also, like right now, during lockdown, you can order many things. That's pretty cool. So also, even the restaurants are closed, you still can order online.
I think that's a good point you brought up. And I think that was one thing I remember from my study abroad is that certain grocery store items that they were used to. Of course, the Americans always want peanut butter, and that's not as big of a thing in Europe as Nutella, and so things like that. So I'm happy you brought up the bread, and it is a good point that there are just there's a lot of stores available to you, but the things offered might just be slightly different. So it either involves using something new or maybe bringing some bread from home or some. I guess that's a hard one to transport. But yeah, that's a good point. What about for Ruben and Joaquin? Was there anything that you maybe even surprised you about the culture that you didn't know, or something that you wish you'd known before coming to your host country?
There was nothing special, I wish I knew.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, one thing I don't like too much about Orsha is that the food is not as good as it is in Spain. But okay, I can adapt myself to that. And yeah, of course, I would suggest people who are going to a different country to look information in the internet, just to be aware of the differences between their own country and the other they are going to. So yeah, it could be really helpful for you to be aware enough of the differences.
So do your research ahead on some of the cultural differences. And it sounds like you both really went in prepared and you knew what to expect. So nothing caught you really from by surprise so much.
Quick plug here for all of you. There's lots of great information in your ISEP country handbook on the country that you're going to. So that's a good place to start.
Good plug. What about Joaquin? What about in Wyoming, or what surprised you, or things you wish you had known?
So cowboy culture is big in Wyoming, and they are proud of that. Country music, cowboy hats, cowboy boots. I see students wearing cowboy hats on campus every day. And one thing I wish I had brought, it is more Brazilian souvenirs to give to my friends that I made here.
That's a really good point. That's one of the things too that I feel like when you leave a country, you're like, oh, why didn't I bring more home with me? Yeah, so that's a good one to bring up. Rachel, are there any more questions from?
We're almost at time, but there's one last question here. Nicholas was asking if it's still possible to study in the library, if the library is still open where you are.
Yes, you can still study at the library, but you have to wear a mask. That's the only restriction.
Great. And then our last one is for Ruben. Yorka is not going to Austria, but she is going to Madrid, and she would like to know your Madrid recommendations.
Yeah, I don't live in Madrid, but I have been there several times. So I think that in the spring semester, the situation, I hope that it will be better. And of course, Madrid is a really, really big city. I don't know where he lives, but I think that for him, Madrid will be a really big city. There are a lot of things to do there if the coronavirus lets. So I think that it should be like a city really good enough to have fun there. And yeah, she said that the transport is quite expensive, but there is like a bicycle system that you can rent bikes. I think it's not so expensive. So I'm not sure. The thing is, Madrid is really big, so you can talk in general about Madrid. So yeah.
Yeah, great, thank you. And then Jennifer actually asked the perfect question to lead into our next slide. So Jennifer asked, how can ISEP students get to know each other before they go abroad? So
Jennifer, you read our minds.
Perfect question, Jennifer. So we encourage all of you to start to get to know each other and stay connected with each other. So we have our Facebook group for accepted abroad and alumni students. And Rory, I'll let you take the rest of this over here.
Sure. Yeah, so that's a wonderful question. And like Rachel mentioned, our Facebook group, you can connect with students there. You can always contact us, and we're happy to put you in contact with an alum to also get some info about their experience. And then Pascal, Ruben, and Joaquin, if you'd like to share your info or your Instagram handle below, or if there's somebody who's DM'd you that wants to speak to you, feel free to exchange info that way. And then throughout the semester, be in touch with us. Oh, awesome. Yes. And there are opportunities. Scott, who just sent us a message, he's our director of marketing. And so he said we have opportunities for students to be bloggers, which is true. So there's lots of opportunities. And you can email me to learn about doing things like vlogging while you're abroad next semester, participating in a panel like this. There'll be more in the future. If you want to take over our Instagram account for a day, we'd love to see what you're up to in the spring. So please reach out to me. Feel free to email me. You can find my email address right there, and I'll also write it in the chat for people to copy and paste. So with that, I think we'll end our panel discussion. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much to our panelists. There's really no replacement from hearing directly from students going through this right now, and so we really appreciate it. And Rachel and I will hang around for a minute or two. So if there's any kind of lingering questions, we can address those. But thank you so much to everyone joining.